YouTube land. It's Thomas DeLauer. This time trying everything out by scheduling up a live first. So I'm here. I know we've got about 80 people here right now, right out the gate, which is awesome. So it's amazing to have so many people here right when we start. And I think that this strategy of starting out with a little bit of a schedule ends up working out really, really well. So today's live broadcast is going to be all about how to break your fast, different strategies for breaking your fast. And I'm going to answer some questions too. I'm going to get to a lot of Q&A towards the end of this broadcast. And as always, I want to interact with you guys. So if you can, comment where you're watching from. I know a lot of you have already been here. You've been in the waiting room for a while, probably commenting where you're from and everything. I've got Mexico City in the house. What's going on? Just make sure you comment where you're watching from. I want to say hello to everybody. Fernando, what's going on in Texas? Someone says, show them guns. I'm not a show and tell kind of person. All right, we've got Lakeland, Florida, holy cow, Virginia, Wales, Chicago, it's going way too fast, Pittsburgh, Marlboro, New York, greetings from California, Joel, what's going on? Elizabeth in Wisconsin, John Phillip in San Antonio, hello from Madrid, all the way in Spain, Asheville, North Carolina, Chicago, Illinois, St. Louis, Lexington, Kentucky, Orlando, Florida, Middleton, New York, Brunei, Thomas in Atlanta, Palmdale, California, Lawrence, Massachusetts, Canada, Florida. Holy cow, this is awesome. We got 350 people on here already. I guess scheduling these things does the trick. England, it's 1 a.m. in England and you're still watching this video. This is awesome. Morro Bay, California, that is awesome. My mom lives in Morro Bay. Tallahassee, Florida, Sacramento, California, Vancouver, Canada. We got Long Island, New York. We've got Canada. We got more Finland. We've got Rapid City, South Dakota. Perry, what's going on? We've got Candy in Wyoming. We've got Edler in Mexico, we've got London, Gary in Tennessee, we've got Mulberry, Florida, we've got Alberta, Canada, we've got Kissimmee, Florida. Guys, you guys are so awesome. Keep on commenting, keep it going. What we're gonna do, we've been live for about 2 minutes, and up till 4 minutes, I'm gonna just continue to say hello to people because this is how it works. People kind of come in, and at 4 minutes into this live broadcast, for everyone that's watching, at 4 minutes is when I'm gonna start talking some of the science. So for now, I want everyone to just introduce themselves. Atlanta in the house. What's going on in England? Kentucky here. Buena, what's going on? Itamar, what's going on? We've got Philly, go Eagles, awesome. We've got Laredo. We've got Manila. We've got lots of Spain here. That's awesome. Joanne in Illinois. We've got New Delhi here. We've got Portland, Maine. We've got Victorville, California, not far down the road. We've got, man, this is awesome. You guys are great. Is anyone else saying it's blurry? It looks pretty clear on my end, but hang on. Let me wipe off my screen. Hang on. There, maybe that's a little bit cleaner. Anyway, we've got Australia in the house, another minute and a half of introduction. So guys, if you can, share this video. It gets a lot of people here. So you can share it to Facebook, share it to Instagram. Someone's saying it's kind of bad resolution. You know what? Let me see if I can fix something really quick here, guys. Bear with me 1 second. Yeah, hang on. I'm trying to fix my Wi-Fi situation here. Hang on. I know we probably lost some people, but I had to switch the Wi-Fi up. So hopefully everybody's here. Are we good? Okay. Guys, we clear now? Is it clear? I've got Matt, I've got my assistant here kind of working with me. Is it clear? Okay, we're looking like we're good. Guys, I'm really sorry about that. I had to kind of cut it off for a second. Okay, anyway, Shane in Tennessee, everyone's saying it's better. Perfect, guys. I'm really sorry that it was such a poor resolution. I think what's going on is we're uploading some videos to Dropbox right now just from stuff we filmed today, and I think it just ended up getting it kind of messed up. So if we can, we got to get a little bit more engagement since we lost some people because I had to chime off. Anyway, 420 people on here right now. Everyone that's here, just hit that like button, boost this video up, hit that big thumbs up button, and in 30 seconds, I'm going to start the science with what you need to be using to break your fast, how you should be able to do it, everything like that. Alberta, Canada, what's going on in the house? Belgium, got Abaca, Pennsylvania, awesome. Colorado, England, Craig in Kansas City, you guys are great. Okay, perfect. Okay, let's get down to the science here. What I'm talking about today is different strategies that you can utilize to break your fast. Okay, probably the most common question that comes up for me is, what do I do to break my fast? The question is very valid, and the thing is we have so many different things that are going on, so many different processes and why we're fasting. So many people are asking why we're fasting, and or asking what to break a fast with when they don't really know what their fast is for. And that's what you have to ask yourself the question of is, what are you fasting for? Are you fasting more so for the health benefits, or are you asking more so for, I hope that the quality is the quality so bad? Guys, I'm sorry. You know what? I'm going to try to fix something. I'm going to go off of Wi-Fi here. Give me 1 second. Benefits for digestive benefits, and what overall are we doing in terms of our overall eating style? So keto people might fast a little bit different and break their fast a little bit different than good old-fashioned regular fasting people, people that aren't doing keto. So we have to look at this. We have to start figuring out what's going to work best for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with traditional fasting, assuming someone is not in ketosis, okay? Someone is just fasting. How should they break their fast? It's gonna still vary. Like, this isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. But the thing is, when you're fasting, you're making yourself extremely insulin sensitive. And what that means is that whatever you put in your body, as soon as you break your fast, your body is going to glom onto it really quick. Now, there's a good side and a bad side to that. The bad side is, if you eat something that's not good, obviously your body's gonna absorb it really quick. But if you eat something that's good, your body's gonna absorb it. So that being said, what do we wanna do in terms of carbs? What do we wanna do in terms of fats? So if you're breaking your fast and you're not in ketosis, you wanna break your fast with a high glycemic carbohydrate. And this sounds crazy. People are like, what? And I'm not talking about sugar. I'm talking about something like a rice cake or some cream of rice or something that's very, very high glycemic, but isn't sugar. Refined sugar, whole different process. I don't care how high glycemic it is. Refined sugar is refined sugar. It's not good. So why we want a high glycemic carb is it allows us to control our insulin spike. So think of it like this. When you break your fast, you could have carbohydrates that are low glycemic that are gonna cause your carb load to come kind of like this, gentle bell curve, right? Okay, and then you're not really able to control your insulin spike because your blood sugar is just kind of stabilized up nice and high, or moderately, which is good if you're just eating carbohydrates as a general diet, right? But with fasting, you're trying to abruptly break your fast. You're not trying to ease your way into it. So the best way to abruptly break your fast is by controlling your insulin spike with a high glycemic carb. And what does that mean? What does that mean? Normally, I don't recommend eating high glycemic carbs, okay? And that's not what you would normally want to do. But in this case, we're fasting, we do want an insulin spike because it's gonna allow us to break our fast abruptly and put our body back into absorptive mode. There's no real gray area. People tend to think, oh, well, once I'm fasting, I wanna try to ride the wave of my fast a little bit longer even after I eat. It's not the case. Once you eat, your fast is done, the fat burning kind of stops, and the best thing that you can do is just spike your insulin a little bit so that you can get your body working again. Now, mind you, this is if you're not doing keto and if you're just doing an intermittent fasting protocol. And even if you're looking, even if you're following my six-pack abs program or anything like that, it talks about breaking the fast with like rice cakes and stuff like that. So the reason behind that is I would rather you control your insulin spike by knowing what you're eating and knowing the insulin's gonna rise and fall versus trying to load up on a bunch of different carbohydrates that are gonna send a bunch of mixed signals throughout your body, because then your body doesn't really know how to manage that blood glucose, or it knows how to manage it, but it's hard for you to manage it. So although it's not a good thing in terms of your overall health to consistently be eating high glycemic carbs, it's not good for you. You don't want to spike your blood sugar all the time. But when you break a fast, it allows you to maintain control. You know when your carbs are elevated, when your blood sugar is elevated, and you know that it's going to drop relatively quick. Now, it is on you guys to make sure that when that blood sugar drops, that you do not cave and start grabbing all the things that look good and taste good at that point in time. Very, very, very important for you at that point, because it's easy to have that happen, okay? So you end up, someone says, I'm so sick of rice cakes. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to do the rice cakes, okay? You can do cream of rice is a great thing, okay? Cream of rice is basically like cream of wheat cereal that's made from rice instead of wheat. So very, very clean, a lot easier. Hey guys, we've got a lot of people on here. Would you guys mind just hitting that like button if you're on this broadcast? Helps out a lot, gets this video ranked nice and high so people know that this is good content. Thank you guys, lots of them going on, that's awesome. So now let's talk about fasting if you are keto and how you want to break your fast there. So if you're keto, meaning if you're trying to maintain a ketogenic lifestyle while you're fasting, so maybe ketosis is your baseline and then you have a few days here and there where you throw in some fasting, you're gonna wanna break your fast a little bit different. You may not wanna break it with carbs because obviously that's not ketogenic, so life is a little bit different there. So what you wanna focus on doing in that case is maximizing the amount of ketones that are being used. So here's the thing, guys. Even though ketones are being produced when you're in a fasted state, whether your baseline diet is keto or your baseline diet is fasting dictates tremendously what you're trying to get out of fasting. If you are in ketosis and then you go into fasting, you are just further exacerbating or enhancing the effects of keto, simply because it's leveraging the same system, okay? It's leveraging the same process within the body of producing acetoacetate, acetoacetic acid, beta-hydroxybutyric acid, and acetone. And you're producing the same things. But in keto, when you do break your fast, you're still producing those ketone bodies. If you're not keto, when you break your fast, you're not producing those ketone bodies. So two different worlds. So when you are in keto and you break your fast, you want to do everything you can to get your body to produce even more ketones. And I don't mean taking exogenous ketones. I mean breaking your fast with some things that contain MCT oil. Okay, and now mind you, again, everyone that's just joining in, this is for those that are doing keto plus fasting, okay? You're gonna wanna break your fast with something like MCT oil, some bone broth. I actually just filmed a recipe today using bone broth, coconut oil, a little bit of cayenne. Those are the kind of things, okay? What that's gonna do is that is gonna prolong the effects of your fast. You're already producing ketones when you're fasting, okay? Now it's your job with ketosis to try to continue that process, okay? Very, very important there. That's what you're trying to do. That's how you're gonna get the most fat loss out of the process. MCT oil is good to break a fast, but you wanna make sure you're combining it with something that's gonna ease the stomach a little bit, because MCTs absorb so quick that they can be really, really hard on the gut. We don't wanna necessarily do that. We wanna have them with either some bone broth or even just a little bit of soup, whatever. You just wanna be able to, someone just said exogenous whiskey, that just made me laugh. So that's what you want to be paying attention to. Now, for those of you that are just joining in, I'm going to clarify again how it works if you're not in keto. If you're not in keto, what you want to be focusing on is controlling the carbohydrate intake by using a high glycemic carb. What this is going to cause you to do is it's going to make it so that when you do break your fast, you have a short spike of blood sugar, not a long spike of blood sugar. I'd rather have an abrupt high spike that comes right back down, because we know how to control it. We control the insulin at that point in time, which is very, very important. Renee, you asked MCT oil or coconut oil. You know, that actually is a great question. And when you're breaking a fast, you know, I can kind of contradict what I just said if I wanted to, but coconut oil is great to break a fast because it's a little bit easier on the stomach. You don't have as much MCT. Remember, coconut oil is only 20% MCT. The rest is a long-chain fatty acid. Okay, it's actually, you know, lauric acid, which is monolaurin. So it's actually a long-chain fatty acid. It's more of a long-chain fatty acid than it is an MCT. So it's pretty powerful to know that, because people think that coconut oil is the same thing. No, totally not. 20% of coconut oil is MCT. Straight MCT is the pure carbon chain of 6 to 12 fats with a 6 to 12 carbon chains, so they break down a lot faster, whereas long chain fatty acids are up all the way up to 22 carbon chains. Take a lot longer to break down. You know, we've got so many people on here. Guys, can you do me a big favor and just give this a big old share? And you know, I'm not sure if you guys do or not, but I'm trying to do a little bit more content in the way of on Instagram as well, just so that you guys know. Facebook changed their algorithms, makes it a lot harder for me to get my videos out there on Facebook. So if you guys are on Instagram, you can find me. It's just at Thomas DeLauer. I'm starting to do a lot more of the day in the life kind of stuff, doing the snaps and all the kind of Insta stories. So that's a lot of fun for people that like to follow and know a little bit more of like what my day-to-day life is like. So just so you know, so you can always find me there. Don't have to leave the broadcast now, but check it out later. Head on over. Chicago PD with me. Awesome, man. Thank you for your service to your community. I appreciate that. You are awesome, man. I'm going to ask some questions, but I want to make sure that people that are asking questions are also engaging and hitting that like button and sharing. I want to get this broadcast as many people as possible. I want to get 1,000 likes on this. I want to get 1,000 people on this. It'd be awesome. So someone asks, wow, someone just broke their 17-hour fast. That is awesome. Let's open it up to some questions on how to break fast for a little bit. Let's see. Someone actually, that's a good question. I want to grab that one real quick. Hang on. Someone says, hang on, guys. How do I prevent a binge when I break my fast? I'm not hungry, then I eat, and I can't stop. That is blood sugar at its finest, Tracy. That's exactly what happens. Anyone else experience that? Anyone here experience that situation, like where they're, hang on, I'm tightening up my little, there we go. Anyone else experience that? When they're fasting, they're fine, and then once they break their fast, okay, so many people saying, yes, yes, me, totally. Guilty too. It's so tough. And I tell myself in the morning on the days that I fast sometimes that, like, I feel so good. I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I'm so strong. Like, why would I do that? And I kind of beat myself up a little bit from the night before. I'll be like, what the heck? Like, I fasted and I broke my fast and I was doing so good. And then all of a sudden I just like kind of went off the rails. I started craving, and I don't ever binge like hardcore, but I mean, the cravings come in and it's brutal. And I get so pissed off at myself. And then the next day I'm like, I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be fine. And then I break my fast, and next thing you know, 30 minutes later, I'm like wanting carbs again. And that simply has to do with blood sugar. Even when you're in keto, when you break your fast and you have protein, that gluconeogenesis triggers a blood sugar response, and you are so insulin sensitive and so blood sugar sensitive that you have this rise in blood sugar that allows everything to absorb, and then all of a sudden, a big insulin drop, a big blood sugar drop, And boom, you're left with this feeling like if you don't eat something, you're going to go crazy. So like your cholecystokinin levels that normally satiate you just plummet. They drop. And it's so hard to control those cravings. And that communication with the brain, that dopaminogenic response is very difficult to control. You want to be eating. So the question was, how do you control those things? Well, believe it or not, like I said, when you break your fast, by actually keeping it very controlled and very small with just a couple of rice cakes first, and then struggling through the actual process of being able to handle just a couple of, like an hour of suffering with that. So basically what I mean is, when you break your fast, you're spiking your insulin, but your crash is only going to be 20 or 30 minutes, an hour at the most, which means you're going to crave things for like 30 minutes. You're not going to crave things for 4 or 5 hours, okay? Does that make sense to everybody? I can explain a little bit more if people need it to, but basically, you're sacrificing a half an hour to an hour to be able to have these terrible cravings for a half an hour or an hour versus having them for 4 or 5 hours. It's easy to control it for 30 minutes. It's not easy to control it for 4 hours. A lot of people saying that makes sense. Awesome. Okay, great. How long after breaking keto with bone broth should you have a proper meal? Okay, so if you are keto and you are fasting while you're in keto and you break your fast with bone broth and some coconut oil or some MCT oil, how long should you wait before having another meal? That's a good question. As long as it's more than 45 minutes, you're good. Okay, I want you to ride the wave a little bit, allow the bone broth to do its job, allow the MCTs to do its job. If you take in MCTs, although they absorb fast, if you were to have food 15 minutes later, it's going to slow the absorption of them, okay, because it's going to absorb with starches or it's going to absorb with proteins, gluconeogenesis is going to throw things off, okay. MCTs cross through the portal vein and they get right into the bloodstream and they get right into the mitochondria really fast, but give them a little bit of time. Give them 30 minutes so they can do their job, let the bone broth heal your gut a little bit, do what it needs to do, then move into having some more, real food, so to speak. Now, I want to answer this question about people that ask questions about breaking a fast as vegans, because I know, and I know it might lose some interest of some people, but this applies to everybody, because whether you are keto or whether you're not, you can still break a fast this way, because you probably saw my video talking about kind of the meatless Mondays and things like that, like taking a day a week and just kind of cutting down your protein intake. Well, if you do that on a fasting day, you can actually break your fast pretty strategically, okay? You can have your rice cakes, then 30, 40 minutes later, you can have some pea protein. I'm a huge fan of pea protein. I don't do a lot of whey. Occasionally I do, but I try to keep dairy out of the equation with the exception of a little bit of Bulgarian yogurt or Greek yogurt. So that's kind of how you would do it in the vegan way. And then once you've actually established your first and second meal, that's when you can start having the lower glycemic carbs, like the beans and things like that. I don't recommend breaking a fast with beans because they are very, 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 very hard to break down, and you need to have some other stuff in your system. You have so many people on this. This is awesome. We've been going for 18 minutes, and we've already got almost 700 people on here. We've got Antarctica in the house. That is crazy. Absolutely awesome that I have someone in Antarctica. Someone asked how the baby's doing. Baby's doing awesome. He's getting really big way too fast, and it's scaring me that I'm already getting out of like the newborn stage, which is really sad. You guys are super awesome. It's a good question, and I'm going to answer this. Someone keeps asking, actually a lot of people have asked if marijuana breaks the fast, and it's legal in so many states now. I feel like I should address it. No, technically it doesn't. I don't think you should do it though, because it does have a very, very strong effect on your estrogen receptors. It triggers a lot of estrogen and it triggers a heavy estrogen response, which can make it so that you're really not, it can affect basically that DHT conversion. So it lowers your testosterone levels. And when you're fasting and you're doing it, that's when it's rough. And it's the THC, not the CBD, that causes the problem. So if you're using CBD, it's a different story. The problem is CBD, cannabidiol, is usually suspended in oil, and oil will break a fast. Does creatine break a fast? No. Straight creatine monohydrate will not break a fast, but here's something to remember. Creatine doesn't affect you immediately. Creatine is a more sustained result. So you might as well have it when you're eating instead of fasting. It's not gonna matter. Does brushing teeth break a fast? That's a good question. Some do, because some actually have some cornstarch in them. So make sure you're getting one that just doesn't have any actual sweeteners or starches in it. What happens in terms of, let's see, So, man, so many questions. Does leucine break a fast? Yes, Don, leucine does break a fast. It is one of the most insulin anemic amino acids that's out there, meaning it triggers a strong insulin response. Coconut oil does break a fast. Vitamins, here's a good rule of thumb with your vitamins. Do vitamins break a fast? Guys, this is a very good question that a lot of people ask, so I hope I can answer this one and answer a lot of questions. By the way, please hit that like button, and please, 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 please hit that share button. Okay, vitamins and minerals, how do you know what's gonna break your fast? Simple. If it's in a soft gel, it's gonna break your fast, okay? If it's in a capsule, more than likely it's not. Some exceptions, coenzyme Q10 that is in some of those capsules that have like little beads inside. So you ever see those capsules that have like little beads inside the capsules? Well, what those usually are usually like liposomal little fat pods that they actually have like fat inside these little teeny beads that are inside a capsule. Those will break a fast. Someone says, how do I learn all this? I haven't found anywhere on the internet my quality of content. First of all, I have an amazing team that helps me with research. I help, whenever we come up with a good topic, I've got awesome people that really work hard on this, Matt being one of them who just works diligently to make sure that we're putting out the right content all the time to really speaking to the audience. So that's one. My general background in this knowledge, for those of you that don't know, I came out of the corporate healthcare world. I owned an ancillary lab services company for quite some time, and sold that to or that was acquired by a private equity firm some years ago. And I had a large network of physicians in my, basically, Rolodex. And these physicians were all physicians that worked with, concierge patients, meaning they weren't really compensated by insurance. They were working directly with patients on a cash basis, which means that they really had the best interests of these patients in mind. So I learned a lot from these guys. I had a massive network of about 1,200 physicians that I worked with, and I learned so much of what I know from them. And so that's truly how a lot of this initial kind of overarching knowledge came from. Bone broth, chicken or beef, someone asked. I recommend going with the beef bone broth simply because the collagen is so much higher. Can you break a fast with fruit? Rick, no. Guys, I don't care who you are, please don't break a fast with fruit, okay? That should probably be the #1 rule. Actually, I need to do a video on that. Don't break your fast with fruit. It processes totally different. Fructose is weird. It does different things in the body. So what fructose does is it skips through the typical metabolism and it goes through what's called the active transport chain, okay? This active transport chain is like a small bus that can only hold a little bit of sugar at a given time. Any sugar that doesn't fit on this little bus, this active transport chain, ends up getting stored as fat. That's all there is to it. What about grapefruit? Small amounts of grapefruit are okay, but don't break your fast with it. Don't break your fast with dates. Henry, I know that that's a good question, and I know that in Ramadan, a lot of the Muslim community breaks their fast with dates, and it's not necessarily customary for them to break their fast with dates, but it's just common. And I have a lot of friends that are Muslims, and I've seen that act where they tend to break their fast with dates, and it's not the best metabolic thing to do because dates are very high in fructose, so you don't necessarily want to do that. Do herbs break a fast? Generally, they don't. Yeah, Rick says he's Muslim, so yeah, you've probably seen that. It's common, right? You go during Ramadan, you break your fast with dates. I would try not to. I'd try to have some soup or something first. You guys are awesome, and so many people. Is this advice valid for both long-term and short-term fast? 24 to 48 hour fast, yes. Longer fast, it's a little bit different. And I need to do a whole different setup on how to break a dry fast, because breaking a dry fast is totally different because your stomach goes into a whole different mode. Guys, can we continue to hit that like button, please, if you can? We've got almost 700 likes on this video, and it really just helps out a lot. It helps rank these videos a little bit higher so I can keep doing them. Just so that you know, and while I've got a lot of people on here really quick, I know that no one ever really complains, but I still want to make sure that I say it while I've got so many people here because it's a huge broadcast. Yes, guys, some of my videos are sponsored by companies, not this live broadcast, don't worry about that, I'm not saying that. But occasionally, yeah, I work with a few companies, but they're also the ones that help make this channel possible. So I don't want you guys to get upset if I, occasionally talk about Four Sigmatic or I talk about Kettle and Fire. It's not staged, it's not contrived. It's something that to run this channel costs a lot of money. As I have a staff of 6 people right here, or 5 in my immediate office, and then I have 14 employees total. Like, that's a lot of mouths to feed, and it costs a lot to run these channels. So sponsors really make it helpful when they're companies that I work with. So I just want to put this out, and make sure that you guys know that don't get upset when I mention stuff like that. I know some people like, what the heck, you're talking about bone broth again. So So, and then everyone's saying no worries. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys for all just being understanding. I just want you to know that, like, in order for me to keep doing this, that's kind of the stuff I have to do. Does mixing ACV and MCT oil, I want to ask that question. Hang on. I hit the wrong button. Someone says, does mixing ACV and MCT oil reduce the effectiveness of either? No, because they work on two totally different systems. You're totally fine there. Not gonna, everyone says you're legit. You guys are awesome. Does gum break your fast? Aspartame technically shouldn't break a fast, but it's such a chemical. I just really don't recommend that. All of you guys are so awesome, guys. So many questions. How to break a fast on keto with carbs? Well, you don't really want to be breaking your fast if you're in ketosis with carbs, but if you are going to do it, you can still stick with just 1 or 2 rice cakes. Just don't combine fats with carbs. I've said this in a lot of videos, but I also understand that everyone that's on these broadcasts doesn't always get a chance to see all of my videos. But I want to explain insulin to you really fast and how it works with fat. Okay, when you spike your insulin, it allows a cell doorway to open. So imagine this fist is a cell, okay? And imagine that you just had some carbohydrates and your insulin levels just spiked. That opens the cell like that. So that means the sugar can get into the cell. Boom, the cell closes, yum, 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 eats the sugar, you have energy, okay? But if you spike your insulin along with fat, the cell is still open, so sugar and then ugly fat molecules go in there to storage too. Boom, you just stored fat too. So insulin will help you store sugar and fat, which is why you never want to be combining high glycemic carbohydrates with fat. So when I'm talking about spiking your insulin with some rice cakes after your fast, you do not want to have fat with it, okay? Keep it dry, don't even have protein with it. You're trying to make sure that you spike your insulin and control just your insulin. I'm super glad this is helping a lot of people. So what's the glycemic cutoff for combining carbs with fat? Super good question. I usually say 45. Now, that's just me. Now, granted, there are periods of time where you can't avoid it, but at least when you're really cognizant of it and you're having large amounts of carbs and large amounts of fats, that's what you don't want to combine. Keto and TRT, testosterone replacement therapy. If you're on TRT, it's going to help you out with keto. I mean, it's plain and simple. It's going to help, the ketones synthesize into help with cholesterol synthesization, which is going to help with your hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis from your brain down to your gonads, producing all those things that you need to produce, the follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, which goes down to your Leydig cells and produces testosterone. So it's helping support your natural production too. Medication, you should never just stop taking your medication, regardless whether you're fasting or not. Should you fast 7 days a week? No. I recommend fasting 3 days a week, maybe 4, depending on who you are. Bulletproof coffee every day, is it good? Well, technically, bulletproof coffee will break your fast. So just so you know. But bulletproof coffee is good if you're on keto, but not if you're fasting. It's good on the days you're not fasting. 45 pounds lost. Oh, that's awesome, Mr. Mados. Does a migraine pill break a fast? I don't know. It depends what's in it. Wow, so many people. Okay, can we get a quick run at everyone that's here really quick? Will straight vodka break a fast? Yes, vodka has 7 calories per gram. It will break a fast. Cold brew will not break a fast. That is one of my go-tos. Someone asked what my macros are. It all depends, man. It all varies. It depends what stage I'm at, what I'm prepping for, what I'm doing. Right now I'm in keto, so I mean my macros are pretty simple. I'm under 40 grams of carbs, keeping it simple, fasting 2 days a week right now. When I'm in keto, I don't feel like I need to fast as much. I just fast 2 days a week for a next little, extra punch. Someone says that was my next question. Awesome. Butter in bone broth tastes really good. Coconut oil in bone broth tastes really good too. Seward, Nebraska. Awesome. Thanks for being here. Guys, can you comment where you're watching from just so I can say hello? What about cream of tartar? Yeah, I just did a video today that used cream of tartar. Amazing for potassium. No, it does not break a fast. You'll be okay. But you can also just take a straight up potassium tab and you'll be good there. Tampa in the house. What blood markers should you be tracking on keto? Hemoglobin, and of course your ketone levels. Those are the main ones. You don't want to get your ketone levels too high. It means you're deep in ketosis. You're probably not getting as much of a fat burning benefit. You don't want to get them too low. You want to keep them right. NorCal, Northern California. Roger, what's going on? I'm from Sonoma originally. Glendale, Arizona. Sunrise, Florida. New York. Missoula, Montana. Awesome. We've got London, Lake Tahoe, California. I used to live in Zephyr Cove. Thinking about actually getting a place up there again to spend a little bit more time up there. Also because California taxes are brutal. And we've got Dubai in the house, we've got Toronto, we've got St. Paul, Minnesota, Oregon, India, Greece. How to bulk while fasting? Very, very good question. Fast a couple days per week, break your fast strategically, be in a calorie surplus during your eating window, and you will have better results on building muscle that way than you would being in a calorie surplus every single day. I can promise you that. It works so well because you're in a calorie surplus plus you have very high insulin sensitivity. Detroit, Texas, Jordan in the house. Wow, Phoenix, Arizona, Oklahoma City, Puerto Rico, my gosh, Las Vegas, Olympia, Washington, Budapest, Boston, Dallas, Texas, more Texas. You guys are amazing. How long after rice cakes? You want to go 30, 40 minutes. Malaysia in the house. We've got Dayton, Ohio. We've got more Dallas. We've got liquid sucralose. Technically, okay, there is an insulin response with sucralose, so you can break a fast there. I would try to dissuade it. Venice, Florida. China in the house. You guys are so awesome. Someone in Saturn. Okay, what is the best drink to have during fasting? I did a video on this, but I like decaf green tea. Okay, because I don't want to get cracked out on caffeine throughout the course of the day. I like my decaf towards the end of the day, and I like having my caffeine at the beginning of the day. So black tea is good, green tea is good. You know, I'm a big fan of, I use Four Sigmatic. I've talked about them in videos like mushroom coffee to kind of help boost the mood and everything like that. NYPD, Henry, awesome, man. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your service to your community as well and to our country. It's awesome. We've got, ginseng. People are loving the ginseng. You do 4 days straight water fasting. That's intense. Pekin, Illinois. Does xylitol break your fast? No, technically it's not. You're okay. Zevia. Yep. Zevia for the win, someone says. You guys are awesome. So many people. It's like, okay, someone says don't take fat dressing with your green salads. No, that's not what I mean. I mean, don't mix it with heavy starches. So fat dressings are okay with your dressings. Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Excuse me. 72-hour fast. Holy cow. Okay, always eat rice. So does it break a fast? Does this apply to daily intermittent fasting? Yes, it would. Man, so many questions, guys. It's almost hard to see them all. I'm going to answer a couple more questions. So does black coffee stain your teeth? Why? Are you saying that for a reason? I don't know. I honestly could tell you cold brew is a lot better because you can drink it with a straw and the acid level is a lot lower. Will club soda by itself break a fast? No. Panama City, what's going on? How often should a 24-hour fast be done? Big question, guys. Big question that comes up a lot. How often should you do a longer term fast? I'm a big fan of doing a longer term, like a 24 to 48 hour, or more like a 36 is a good number, like once every month, every 4 to 6 weeks, okay? That is a great policy for anybody. If you can handle it and you feel good, a 24 to 36 hour fast, 36 is a really good number, by the way. It's just perfect for that. Every 4 to 6 weeks, it's perfect. What I like about a 36-hour fast is you're right in this sweet spot of getting the benefits of still being an intermittent fast and being kind of doable, but also the benefits of a long-term fast without going to this extreme where you're really potentially wasting some more muscle. You start going like 3, 4, 5 day fasts, you can start burning some muscle. It can be a little bit tough. Someone says, okay, last try. I have skinny arms and legs, but I have belly fat, skinny fat. I have a slow metabolism after so many poor diets. How can you fix this? That's a good question. And you know, it's something that I had to do myself too, you know, because when I first lost a bunch of weight, when I first lost like 100 pounds, I dieted hardcore for a while. I got into fasting, I got into ketosis, and I got in great shape. But then after that, I kept going, okay? Photo shoot after photo shoot. I got kind of addicted and kind of high on the fact of just like, I loved the fitness industry at the time, and I was just trying to just be shredded all the time. And granted, I stay lean now, but I was trying to be like photo shoot ready all the time, which means that I was just increasingly bringing my calories down so low, so low, so low. And eventually, I brought it to a point where I needed to reverse diet. I needed to try to get myself to be able to have more calories again without having a problem. Keto was a tremendous way to do that because it allowed me to have a little bit more in the way of calories without having this constant insulin fluctuation. That made it easier for me to stay lean while still adding slightly more calories here and there. Will you break your fast if you put heavy cream in your coffee? Yes, you definitely will. Guys, I'm gonna have to turn this off. I gotta get rolling, gotta get home. I can see my wife's texting me, it keeps popping up on my screen. But you guys are so awesome. I really appreciate this. I mean, you guys are so amazing when you hop on here and do these with me. And I wanna try to do these more. But in order to keep doing these more, I do want to make sure that I'm getting a lot of people on these because it has to be worth everybody's while, and I want to be able to ask a lot of questions, and I want to be able to get as many people just amped up. I want to get you guys excited. I'm going to have an awesome video for you tomorrow. No matter what, you guys, like, you can always come to this channel for motivation, always come to this channel for more science so that you can cut through the noise. So you guys are so amazing and appreciate you so much for being here. And if you can, please quickly remember, please go give me a follow on Instagram. I'm gonna start doing a little bit more day in the life type of stuff there with the Insta stories. It's a lot of fun, kind of just showing like when I'm shooting, when I'm working out, little things like that. So people keep saying to do Twitch. I might give Twitch a shot. But anyway, guys, you guys are awesome. Someone says, see you at South by Southwest. I will be speaking in Austin, Texas. Yes, I will be speaking in Austin, Texas, South by Southwest, March 12th. I'm talking about docosahexaenoic acid, talking about algal oil, speaking about how it's a sustainable form. It's really interesting. I could get talking about that right now, but basically, fish oil, the fact that it has DHA in it, fish oil aren't magically born with DHA. They get it from what they eat. They eat algae. Algae has the DHA. So I'm there talking about algal oil, and all this. So I'll be in Austin March 12th. I'm going to be in Seattle end of April, speaking at the Emerald Cup. Those of you that are in Seattle, do we have anyone in Seattle in the house? Any Washington in the house at all? If anyone's here from Seattle, I will be speaking at the Emerald Cup, speaking on ketosis, a little bit on fasting, but mostly on keto. I will also be having a booth there, so just to be able to answer questions and just to say hello to everybody, not even selling anything. Just so if you're in Washington, then you definitely need to make sure that, I think it's the 28th that I'm speaking there of April. If you're anywhere close there, I want you guys to be there. It'd be a lot of fun to have y'all there. And be able to meet some of you in person. So will I ever come to Australia? I sure hope to. Give me a reason to. All right, so many people in Seattle. This is awesome. I'm excited. All right, you guys, I got to turn this off. I got to get rolling. Again, you guys are awesome. Thank you very much. See y'all soon.